Good morning, and welcome to Northern Light Spiritual Center. My name is Reverend Vaughn Amaré, and I am here today with Reverend Mykal Amaré, who is doing today's talk. Northern Light Spiritual Center is a community of people dedicated to using spiritual and practical principles to create lives we want to live. Northern Light Spiritual Center offers practical and spiritual tools to make positive changes in our lives. And our promise to inspire, uplift, celebrate, and magnify your greatness. Woo-hoo. We acknowledge our presence here on the traditional and unceded lands of the first people of Seattle, the Duwamish and Coastal Salish peoples. These people are still here, and we join with them in how they continue to honor and bring to light their ancient heritage. We seek to resist the erasure of Indigenous histories as we work towards honoring and inviting the truth. We also acknowledge that much of what we know about our country today, including our culture, economic growth and development throughout history and across time, has been made possible by the labor of enslaved Africans and their ascendants who suffered the horror of the transatlantic trafficking of their people, chattel slavery, and Jim Crow. We also name the Asian and Chicano people who toiled with little recognition. We are indebted to their labor and their sacrifice, and we acknowledge the tremors of that violence throughout the generations and the resulting impacts that can still be felt and witnessed today. Please join me for our opening song, In This Very Room, by Ron and Carol Harris. In this very room, there's quite enough love for all the world. And in this very room, there's quite enough joy for all the world. And there's quite enough peace and quite enough power to walk through our every fear. For Spirit, sweet Spirit, is in this very room. In this very room. We're going to take this time now to participate in a meditation. So my invitation is to just, wherever you are, let yourself start to take deeper breaths. If it helps, you can put your hand on your chest and just become attentive to the rise and fall of the chest. If you're sitting, to be aware of the support of the chair, to pay attention to the floor or the ground beneath your feet. And as you breathe in, just let yourself sink into the knowledge that this is life breathing you. And as you breathe out, that you are releasing what has served you and what can go on to serve the world in other ways. So again, another breath in, aware of life breathing you, and breath out, you joining in that rhythm with life. Perhaps you can tell or notice the sounds of crickets in the background. Let yourself just open to the sounds. The sounds of a quiet, peaceful night. Let yourself become receptive to the sensation of a peaceful time. Where everything on your to-do list is completed. Where all your wants and needs are satisfied. And in that place of satisfaction, just ease into the breath of gratitude. Gratitude for the peace around you. Gratitude for the stillness. Gratitude for the sensation of your wants being fulfilled. Gratitude for knowing that your needs are met. Allow yourself to simply be present to that satisfaction and that state of gratitude. And as you allow that, just let yourself pay attention to your body at peace. To your mind at peace. Let yourself notice where and how you sense peace in your body. Perhaps your muscles are a little looser. Perhaps a weight you've been carrying has disappeared. With your wants and expectations met, you have nowhere to go, nothing to do, but simply to be present. This capacity for presence is as available as the breath that comes in the capacity for gratitude as easy as letting the breath out. Just pay attention to how your body feels, how your mind upholds you in this place of peace. Once again, consciously breathe in. And let yourself release that breath. You are part of a world that is supporting you. And you are supporting it in return. And as you feel ready, let yourself return to wherever you are. Perhaps you want to tighten a muscle, wiggle a finger, wiggle your toes. And then open your eyes. And I say, Amen.
Amen.
Ashe.
Ashe.
And so it is.
So it is.
This morning's reading comes from The Science of Mind
Today.
magazine. Actually, I'm not using today's reading, but I'm using the reading called Are You a Dreamer or a Doer?
I can get that for you.
Once our survival needs are met, the upper regions of our brain begin to desire anything that will bring us something beyond immediate pleasure. We can begin to dream and fantasize about how we can achieve our goals, a process that takes place specifically in the network that shapes our imagination and our ability to predict what might happen in the future. But dreaming is not enough. Vision boards can capture the wide range of desires our imagination generates, but our visions, wishes, and desires cannot stimulate our motivation network to take action. First, you have to narrow your I want list down to a handful of desires that are important, not just to you and your conscious mind, but to your whole brain. This is where your inner wisdom, your knowledge and decision-making skills, your outer wisdom come together to select which goals to pursue. The inner wisdom, as research has shown, is also our spiritual brain. And we need to identify what it feels most passionate about. Try this mental exercise. Think about 10 things you'd love to have right now. And after service, write down 10 things on a piece of paper. When we asked members of the Center for Spiritual Living what their secret desires were, most chose material objects, a nicer house, a better relationship, a once-in-a-lifetime vacation. But when we guided them into a deeper state of relaxed mindful awareness, different desires emerged for nearly everyone that reflected. These were deeper values, things like serenity, peacefulness, intimacy, community, contentment. Take a moment to relax deeply, putting yourself into one of your favorite meditative states. Then ask yourself what your 3 deepest, innermost visions are. As you do this, you might be able to sense a shift of awareness away from the fantasies produced by the default network into a deeper state of consciousness, where your inner wisdom guides you towards goals about which you feel passionate. These passions are what will stimulate your brain to take action. And then you can use the planning and decision-making skills to help achieve your goals. To summarize, a new desire begins with an instinctual impulse to get more pleasurable rewards. Dopamine, released by your motivation network, goes directly into your default network that will then imagine all the things and ways that might bring pleasure into reality. Your inner wisdom, your social brain, which governs empathy, compassion, and self-love, will intuitively whisper to you which path would be the most valuable to pursue. Let that passion guide your actions, and you'll achieve far greater happiness and success. Brain scan research also shows you must be able to visualize your valued desire clearly in your mind, and then visualize the obstacles standing in your way. Psychologist Gabrielle Odingen calls this process mental contrasting, an essential step before visualizing a plan to overcome obstacles as you move towards realistic goals. Psychologist John Norcross's research adds another important dimension. To become a doer rather than just a dreamer, you need to develop specific inner skills. So ask yourself, are you a self-initiator? If not, you'll never take action to manifest your dreams. Are you a self-motivator? No one can trick you to take action. Are you self-disciplined? If not, how will you stay on track? And finally, are you self-aware? If not, how will you identify the weaknesses, the passions, and your desires? It's not that hard to develop these skills. First, psych yourself up by focusing on the things you feel most passionate about. Second, create a plan of action. Third, use your imagination and creativity to overcome obstacles and mistakes. Fourth, stay anchored in your deepest values to persevere and persist. Fifth, keep track of your progress week to week and share your progress with a trusted friend or colleague. This last step will increase your chance of success by 50 to 75%. One last thing. Stop listening to the "I don't wanna" voices and the "I can't do it" whispers. Those are also generated by your inner wisdom network. Learn how to listen to all the networks in your brain, and you'll be able to manifest a life driven by meaning and purpose, not only by fantasies and fears that most people believe are true. And so it is. So Mykal is going to bring up the words to this month's song. Yes. Home, nestled at the core of my being, taken wherever I go, the place I feel safe in seeing, the love and acceptance I know. Home gives me my roots. Home lifts my wings to soar. Home lives in pursuits. Home raises my voice to roar. Home, nestled at the core of my being, taken wherever I go, the place I feel safe and seeing, the love and acceptance I know. Home gives me my roots. Home lifts my wings to soar. Home lives in pursuits. Home raises my voice to roar. Now we switch over to you. Home, nestled at the core of your being, taken wherever you go, the place you feel safe and seeing, the love and acceptance you know. Home gives you your roots. Home lifts your wings to soar. Home lives in pursuits. Home raises your voice to roar. Now we. Your being, taken wherever we go, the place we feel safe and seeing, the love and acceptance we know. Home gives us our roots. Home voice to roar. Now back to me and my home, nestled at the core of my being, taken wherever I go, the place I feel safe and seeing, the love and acceptance I know. Home gives me my roots, home lifts my wings to soar. Home lives in pursuit, home raises my voice to roar.
Need to do this first. Okay. So now.
comes together. It gives our team one beautiful workspace for anywhere collaboration. With dial pad, we
Dial pad and do something. I'm working on it. Good morning. For those that don't know, my name's Mykal Amaré, and I want to welcome everybody, wherever you may be. And of course, I think probably by the song, you might know that this month we're talking about home. The theme for the year is the Living Everyday Wonder, and this month is, for November, is the Living Everyday Wonder of Home. Home is an interesting word. Today the title of my talk is Home is Where Your Needs Are Met. And as I was sitting here listening to Reverend Vaughn do the reading, I was thinking about, because home it has so many different meanings to everyone. Everyone has their own definition of home. Home can be a tent. Home can be a one-bedroom apartment or one-room mansion. In order to have a home, we have certain needs that need to be fulfilled. Maya Angelou said, "The ache for home lives in us all." And that and a home and belonging, and belonging is part of being at home. Having a place to call our home is one of the basic needs. At its best, home is a place where we feel the sense of being rooted and belonging, while also feeling free to fully express ourselves. That part sometimes does not happen in a lot of homes. I know they used to say I was talking back as a kid. So I would get, wind knocked out of me. I had to eat all these different lovely little, but I was just expressing. And I look back and I don't feel I was talking back, even to this day. I'm not giving that up. But so many times, particularly kids, are prohibited in one way, one shape or way or form of not being able to express themselves, to express who they are. And that's particularly with the gay and trans communities. If you say come out to your family, some are loving and supportive, but there's a lot of them that are not, that you're out on the street the moment you open your mouth about that. That's not home. Home is supposed to be a loving, supportive place. It is a familiar place of unconditional love and acceptance. So there's a difference between wants and needs. A need is something necessary to live and function. A want is something that can improve your quality of life. And using this criteria, a need includes food, clothing, shelter, and medical care. And there's a lot of other things in there, but and while wants include everything else, like I want a new car, I want this, I want that. In the Science of Mind magazine from May 1998, it says all our reactions to life are related to our spiritual convictions. We cannot escape this. Just as a child needs to have confidence in their parents, so we all need the same confidence in the power that is greater than we are. So we have to have confidence that whatever you call it, spirit, God, universe, has our back. I mean, that's I think one of the greatest things to really hold close, that spirit has our back no matter what. I know there were times in my life, in my 20s, they call them the terrible twos, but I think it's the terrible 20s too, where stuff happened. And I believe that spirit had my back. That spirit actually carried me when there was only like one set of footprints on the sand. Because otherwise, I firmly believe I would not be here today. If that my higher power, or I choose to call God, had my back, carried me. And so, made it through the 20s. Thank goodness. Thank God. Made it through many 20s now. Many in the animal kingdom are able to, to fend for themselves. Within a few months of birth, human babies are born utterly dependent on caregivers. Babies don't get up and, go to the kitchen and, heat up their milk and change their own diapers. They need a caregiver. They need someone to care for them. Not reaching full maturity or self-reliance for years. It takes a little while. Some become a little more self-reliant, as they go earlier than others. But it takes time. And in that time, our children they have needs. They have need for food. They have need to be burped. They need to be changed. They need to be loved. Lots of needs have to be met for us human beings to experience physical, emotional, and mental well-being. Throughout our lifespan, our needs change. Some needs we are not quite as, maybe we don't need things as much, certain things. And among those universal needs are safety, security, stability, and shelter. So many people take things like this for granted. But why do we take it for granted? Because sometimes it's not there. Ideally, home is a place where those basic needs are met, where you're supported, accepted, you're allowed to speak, to be who you are, to become. As a child, if you're not allowed these things, or supported in these things, encouraged in these things, it can stifle you as a human being. When our baby's needs are met, they will feel a secure attachment with their primary caregiver. The baby then feels free to explore their surroundings, knowing that the caregiver, the source of their safety and security, is nearby. Adults with secure attachments feel positive about themselves and others, and see themselves worthy of love. They have an expectation that others will be receptive and responsive to them. And on the other hand, Babies with insecure attachments may be clingy and afraid to leave their parents or have difficulty establishing bonds. These unhealthy patterns can continue into adulthood, causing all types of dysfunctions in relationships with loved ones and others. And you can see that in the divorce rates, in the separation, in the separation rates, the crime, the murders. I mean, you could see how all these things can work out. I mean, just imagine if every baby, every child came from a home that was loving, caring, supportive, that showed affection, that listened to their children. I had quite an awakening when I was a mentor to the coming of age program at CSL. One day the youth were, it was their day, and they were all sitting in a circle. And they could only speak if they had a talking stick. I think that talking stick should be used everywhere. But I was in the background, and I was just listening to these young people. And it just blew me away. I grew up in a time, or a home, or it was a time too, that children should not be heard. They should be seen, but not heard. And also told that, your opinion didn't count. You don't know nothing. You're just a kid. But listening to these young adults, it just blew me away. And if we could listen more without judging, thinking, oh, they're just going to talk crap. One thing that is proven that they do listen and they are intelligent is this last election. When the youth have turned out in greater numbers than ever before, where that 25-year-old was elected to Congress, the youngest ever in history. And I look forward to having more of these individuals stepping forth and being listened to and being there. In the book by Brene Brown, what was it called? The Quest for True Belonging and the Courage to Stand Alone. She said, belonging is an innate human desire to be part of something larger than us. Because this yearning is so primal, we often try to acquire it by fitting in and by seeking approval, which are not only hollow substances for belonging, but often barriers to it. Because true belonging only happens when we present our authentic, imperfect selves to the world. Our sense of belonging can never be greater than our level of self-acceptance. And yes, we want to belong, and sometimes we will do anything to, like she said, to fit in and to belong. But we're not being true to ourselves. I had that same experience, and it was in the coming age program a couple of years later, where I wanted to be a part of it so bad that I was willing to accept this one assignment. And as I got closer and closer, I was just not easy with it. And I did something that I normally don't do. I would have done the best I could do with it, but I said, I don't feel called to this. This doesn't, it doesn't make my heart sing. And that was one of the first times I really, was honest with myself. And we have to be honest with ourselves and present our authentic selves. To me, authenticity is one of the highest things in my book, because if you're not authentic, particularly with yourself, it's unhealthy. We can lie and well, I should say it's a lie, but we can embellish on things in our lives and to make ourselves look bigger, grand, more grandiose. But in the long run, that's not healthy. In its ideal, home is a place where we can be our authentic, imperfect selves and know we are seen, loved, and accepted just the way we are. In a place that we know, where we also feel known. Home is at its best, gives us a sense of rootedness, a sense of we're standing solid, firmly in this space, in this place. Just like spiritual communities. They are home for a lot of people. A different kind of home, but it's where you're loved. That's one thing when I was in ministerial school and we had to create all these different things, projects, some good, some a little different. However, they were part of the program. And one of the things that I wanted to do, because I created a church, and it was very challenging. But one of the criteria was to create a safe space, a sacred place where people could come, be heard, be accepted. And I feel here at Northern Lights that we have created that space. That it is a sacred ground that we stand on here. Gives us that rootedness and a feeling of familiarity, safety, and belonging. The stability established by safety and belonging creates a launching pad that allows us to spread our wings and take flight. Like when the mother bird boots the baby bird out of the nest. She's done everything that she can. She's fed, she's nourished. Well, first she's laid the eggs and done everything that they can do. And so at some point, you're booted out of the nest. And if your needs have been met at home for all, you will be able to go out into life and become that individual you were meant to be. I was thinking about the movie Home Alone, because I think probably everybody's seen that. And the family's going to go on this vacation to Paris, I believe, and the uncle and aunt are there with their kids and that stuff. And the night before they're going to leave, Kevin, who's the star of the movie, he gets into a little bit of trouble because they're teasing him. His cousins and his brother and sister even, they were all making fun and teasing him, and so he's acting up, acting back. And so what happens, he's the one that gets sent upstairs to the attic to sleep there. And of course, next morning, they forget him. They count the neighborhood's kids counted, instead. And so they go off, yet he is home alone. And first he panics. Because he thought that he made them disappear. Because the night before, when his mother sent him up to the attic, he said, I wish, something about, I wish you weren't here, or something like that. And so he thought maybe that, he had the power to make him disappear. But over the time, as he was home, he had certain needs to be met, like eating, he ended up doing laundry. All these different things that he had learned, he was able to take care of himself. And I forgot what age he was, 8, 6, 8, somewhere in that area. But he was able to basically take care of himself. And then, of course, you know, the bandits come, the wet bandits, Harry and Marv, those geniuses. Now, I don't know how many times this would actually happen in real life, that Kevin would have all these things to protect himself from these bandits. It made for a very funny movie. But he was able to do these things because somewhere in his life, you know, he'd been taught and he learned. You know, it's a, you know, you can be taught, but then you also have to be able to learn these things. It's just the idea that we're at home, you know, with ourselves, being able to take care of ourselves, being able to move forward in life, to do for ourselves and for others as we move along. There are a lot of needs in this world. And so many of them are not met. And there's something I just wanted to say, but I don't want to get political, so I'll just leave it there. We have so many homeless, so many kids without food. One thing I have to applaud Colorado, because they passed a bill this past Tuesday where all school children will get fed. And that's a need that needs to be met everywhere, no matter where you are. It's a damn shame that as rich of a country, and actually world, you know, that we cannot do this. It's not that we cannot do this, that we don't do it. That we don't take care of our elderly, we don't take care of the sick, we don't take care of the children. We want them to be, or I don't say we, certain people want them to be born, but then after they're born, they don't give a crap. They don't take care of them. They don't help. There's no support. And if there isn't support for the mother that is giving birth to this child, then it kind of snowballs. The child is not, you know, sometimes not felt wanted or needed because they have to struggle. And I think a little struggle now and then is not bad, but when you have to struggle your whole life from the day one, I don't, that's not healthy. When I was in Vietnam, I was 18 when I got there. And I had this attitude, you know, these people, we had some Vietnamese sailors on the base with us, and they would get in line for lunch like 9 o'clock in the morning. And so when we would go to lunch, we would be way in back of the line. And I got a little resentful for that. And then eventually I'm sitting there and thinking, you know, what would I be like? What would my attitude be? How would I act if all I knew from birth was war? Like a lot of these individuals, that's all they knew from the day they were born was war. And here they could get food, and they were, you know, so it was a great awakening to me in that moment that there about judgment. Judgment is It's a horrible thing in a lot of times. Because we judge people without knowing the facts, without knowing, what they've been through. There's that saying about walking a mile in somebody else's shoes. Well, that's true. Until you're in that situation, like when I realized that, even though I came from a rather poor background, I had not known war. I had not known what they were going through. So, in Maslow's hierarchy, there's several. It's a hierarchy. It goes up to the top, and the first one are the physiological needs. These needs include those that are vital to survival, like food, water, air. We need to breathe. I mean, that breathing is one of those things we need to survive. In addition to the basic requirements of nutrition, like air and the temperature regulated, other things such as shelter and clothing are needed. Those are the first things in the hierarchy that are you need to overcome, and not 100%, but a good percent. And then it moves. The next level is the security and safety needs. I think everybody wants to feel safe and secure. The needs start to become a bit more complex. At this level, the needs for security and safety become primary. So you've moved from the food and the shelter and the wellness into safety and security. Next is the esteem needs. There's the social needs. Forgot that. Social needs in Maslow's hierarchy include love, acceptance, and belonging. So that's a step 3. So you can see how we keep moving up the ladder. We come to the esteem needs, is where the appreciation we need for that need of appreciation and respect. That's a thing. Respect is something that I found as a kid, you're supposed to respect your elders. But in turn, I believe which is true. I grew up, learning thank you, Matt, thank you, and being polite, and respecting those above me. However, I think the respect has to go both ways. Children need to be respected. I mean, they need discipline. We all need discipline. So I went in and I was looking up what home means to a lot of different people, and I ran across this website. It's a Habitat for Humanity website. And we have on the block here, we have a couple of lots that are building a whole bunch. Okay. Somebody accidentally muted me. As I was saying, is we have down the block, they're building a bunch of houses, the Habitat for Humanity is. And I thought that was so awesome. And some of these statements, this came from people that have received help through Habitat for Humanity. And one is, home means a future. Once we had established a stable home, we could think about where we were going to live from week to week. And we could begin to look ahead to where we wanted to go. Home is the base where everything begins. And I love that last statement. Home is the base, and it is true. It is where you learn so much. And that can be positive and not so positive. But home is the base where everything begins. And then one said, only 3 little words. Home means safety, security, stability. Home is a place blessed where you and your family can be secure, have all the need and share your sadness and happiness, where you can help each other as a family. It does not matter how big or small. And this was a woman with two children. She said, I live in a small room with my 2 sons, and we share our thoughts. Like I said, you can make any place basically a home. My older sister used to say about my younger sister that she could move into a cracker box and make it a home. And that is true. I mean, she moved a lot. But every place she moved may not look the best on the outside or whatever, but the heart of the home, she made a home. And she still does that to this day. And I applaud her for that. Because sometimes we think a home has to be so grandiose and big and whatever. And it doesn't. It really doesn't. Another one was, I think that home is simply wherever you're surrounded by people who love you. And the idea that sticks out to me is about that the home is the base where everything begins. Home is the base where your needs as an infant are met, as a toddler, as a middle schooler, as an older teenager, and so on. Because everybody has needs. Everybody has wants and desires. But like Brene Brown said in there, the biggest thing is the need to belong. But to belong by being your authentic self, warts and all. Because if we try to pretend that we're something we're not, people are going to find out. They're going to see through that. That's one thing I have said, that I cannot lie. I don't know if it has to do with eating soap as a kid, because when I told a lie, I ingested a little bit of soap. But I think it is that what they've always said, if you tell one lie, you have to continue telling that lie and remembering what you told this person. Being honest, being open and authentic is so much easier, because you don't have to remember, because you are being your true self. And I believe that if your needs are met in all stages of life, that you will have a successful life. I remember my sister just, about a week before she passed on, that she had said all she wanted was peace. Well, she had a peace for her the rest of the next week, and it was amazing. And it was easy, I think, easier for me, and I can't really speak for them, but to accept that's she was ready, and all she wanted was peace. And that was a need that was fulfilled. And that's why I said that we have needs throughout our life, from the beginning to the end. And we have so many people that need care at the end, and it doesn't seem to be there. But there are people that do care and that do reach out. So consider what the word home means to you, the ideal sense of it. You don't have to come up with an answer right this moment, because sometimes it's good to, like when Reverend Vaughn was the meditation about, we can instantly come up with things, but sometimes it's better just to sit and be still and allow your innermost spark to answer that small voice within. Because it's easy to say a lot of things, but if we're really true and honest and listen to that small, still small voice, that'll come. So the ideal meaning of home. Think about how at home you feel in your day-to-day life. Do you feel at home, like with yourself, first of all, and in your surroundings? And that's not just maybe at home, but even at work. Work is so much easier and fun, actually. You can have work and it can be fun when you're at home, when you feel supported. And if yes, why? And if no, why not? And if not, what can you do to create a space that feels more emotionally and physically safe? Sometimes we have to leave that space. But sometimes if we could just do a couple little things, maybe express ourselves a little more, saying what our needs may be to, if you're living with other people, because they're not mind readers. I know I'm not a mind reader. I had somebody break up with me one time, spouted off. I said, well, why didn't you say something? I said, I'm not a mind reader. And I wouldn't want to be. So sometimes we have to speak up for our needs, to have them met. And then consider the role of boundaries, or the lack of them. Because we need to have boundaries, and sometimes we don't set these boundaries, and people can come in and we can be doormats. They can walk all over us if we don't set boundaries. Just like our space, our space around us. I knew somebody that one time backed me up against the car because he had to be talking right in your face, and that was so uncomfortable. So we have to set boundaries in our life. Perhaps there's a need for more and clearer boundaries. And that's another thing to ponder. So this week you could just sit and ponder a little while. Or maybe sometimes there's too many boundaries. Like expectations, for one thing. We can have too many expectations, or expectations. I know sometimes my expectations are entirely too high. And I've learned over the years that they are my expectations, and I could do something about it, Vision on what a happy, healthy home means for you and any others with whom you may live. And we always talk about a mental equivalent. How good can you handle it? And I love that, because it's so opposite of what we normally think, or what I normally think. How much good can I handle? Sometimes too much good is scary, because we get to that point like, oh, I've got this much, somebody's going to take it away. So if we open up that mental equivalent of a happy, healthy home, we just affirm that is ours. That we have a happy and healthy home. I'd like to add safety and safe in there too. So, I have a short affirmation. Short but sweet. Well, so I'll say it and then we can do it like 3 times. My home brings out the best in me and others. Okay? My home brings out the best in me and others. My home brings out the best in me and others. And so it is. I want to thank everybody for being here. We have some new people on the line. And next week, Reverend Pamela will be speaking. It's our ritual for the third Sunday. And we got some things coming up where we collect every year for, this year we're collecting for 4 families to make sure that they have a Thanksgiving meal. And if you care to donate those that have, thank you very much. It's greatly appreciated because I wish we could do 100 families, you know. But right now we do what we can do. And so and then Thanksgiving we have the day after we start our holiday movie series, which will be on the 25th. The day after Thanksgiving, and then the 3 following Fridays, which is the 2nd of December, the 9th of December, and the 16th. And we're doing something a little bit different. Normally we have our community, like potluck, holiday potluck on a Friday night. But we decided to move it to right after service on the 18th of December, on Sunday the 18th. It's daylight, you know. Some people are here. That's the third Sunday, so that's the Reverend Pamela Sunday again. So if you want to join us, feel free to. And then next Sunday, we'll be doing our visioning and strategy after service at like 12 to 1:30. And so with that, I just want to say thank you to everyone that's joined us. Thank you for anyone that's ever been connected to Northern Light Spiritual Center, knowing that each of us are the divine spark, that each of us are the love, the light, the life that God is, that we are the power, the presence of the divine here on this earth. And so I give thanks for this sacred time in this sacred space. And so it is.